So welcome everyone who's joining us today. We have a great guest, Chris, who's an expert in DTC, brands, e-commerce, and how long have you been doing ads for? Like 2 years now?
2 years, yeah.
2 years. So I think we're gonna hear a good story. I think you worked in hospitality. Is it hospitality? Is that how you say it? And
Hospitality, yeah. I worked at a hotel as a front desk agent.
so I think we're gonna hear a good story on like his transition and what's been doing, and I think talk about this whole craziness that's been happening for the past 6 months. I think we just finished Black Friday, so I would assume like you finished the strong Black Friday, strong
Yeah.
Cyber Monday. Talk about what worked, what didn't work, and things that people can do to prepare for Christmas. December is still like a really good month, especially for e-commerce. So thanks again for joining us today, Chris. This is cool. This is great.
No, it's great. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for being on your platform and share my knowledge and my experience with your audience is awesome, man.
Yeah, so why don't we go ahead and start and tell us a bit about yourself. I know I kind of give it a spoiler there at the beginning, but
Okay.
uh, but no, I think it's pretty cool. Like I come from like a finance background and I hated it, and I did marketing, and you come from like a totally different background as well. Like we've had people who were lawyers, and then we're like, man, like I'm wearing a suit, I'm sitting in my office, and this just sucks. Like, how did you transition? Like, how did you make that change of working in hotels and service industry and saying like, all right, like this is not for me. Like, I want to do something else. I would imagine. And why marketing? And how did you make that jump? Yeah.
All right. So before I start the hotel industry, this journey starts back when I had a mentorship with a real estate investor out in Trenton, New Jersey. And I was originally trying to learn how to do real estate and investing and flipping and stuff like that. And I reached out, got a mentorship with this guy out in Trenton. He taught me, real estate business, but at the same time, he needed somebody to do social media. So that started my journey in like the whole entire social media side of things. And like in 2016, I came across Sam Ovens Consultant Accelerator program, and I started learning more about consulting and Facebook advertisement and stuff. But I was always interested, but I just didn't know. But I was still working at a hotel, still a 9 to 5 worker, and every day I'm putting on a suit, and I'm checking in guests, and it's like, oh man, this is not it. Like this is not life for me. And it's like, yo, I could do more than this. I could do that, and I knew that I already started looking into, social media marketing, and I started looking into Facebook, and I was like, all right, you know what? I'm just going to give this a shot. And it really took me a couple of years to actually get it. And when I joined the Patrick Wynn ad accelerator,
Yeah.
that was that was it. That helped me out tremendously, and then everything took off since then.
And then did you already have clients by that point, or were you working with clients already, or did you join like the accelerator and then start like try to get clients, or how did that transition work?
So I joined the accelerator, and I was trying to get clients at the same time. But I was trying to get clients before, because I was going after people that was in the hospitality industry, because I've been in the hospitality industry, restaurants, but I didn't have the status as Ernst and Young or Deloitte and these guys. So it was like, they wasn't even looking at me. And then I started like looking around, jumping from niche to niche, trying to figure things out. And when I got the consultant accelerator, I mean not the consultant, that Patrick Wynn program, that helped me with the e-commerce side of things. And then once I started the e-commerce side of things, I started going from door to door and going to like every retail shop that I can go to physically, and was just starting to ask the owners, like, have they ever tried online marketing? I started diagnosing the market in a way for brick and mortar business. And, I heard about the stories about agencies costing too much. They tried it already, but it didn't work for them. It doesn't work for them at all. And so forth. So with that, I was like, all right, this is something right here, and there was this one brand I went to like about 4 times, And he told me no 4 times. And on the 5th time, he told me yes. And I was sitting in his at his store working with him while he was on the next side, looking at the program and implementing it at the same time while I was working with him. And it worked, man. It worked.
And then did you, because this is good, I think, for everyone who's, we have a lot of community members, and one of the biggest questions we get is like, how do you land that first client, and how do you get clients at first? Did you just like went to Google and said like, all right, this is a list of like businesses around like, I don't know, 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers around like where I live, and then just walked into the place? Like, how did that work?
Well, in New York, everything is just close. You're condensed. So I just walked out my house and I went to every retail store in the neighborhood for like at least 15, 20 blocks. Okay. And I didn't go in selling. I go in asking, like, have you tried, like, my line to them was like, hey, I'm in class and I'm taking a server. I'm doing a survey for small businesses that have tried online marketing and didn't, and if they saw some results with it, if they didn't see no results with it. And once I told them that, it was like, okay, they just started telling me everything. And I was like, and I'm just writing out notes. And I'm like, all right, cool. Every brick and mortar business had the same kind of story, and I was like, all right, I think I can make this work with the whole e-commerce stuff.
And then I like that approach of like, I'm doing a survey, like, what are your pain points? What's an issue? And then, let it all out.
Yeah.
You're probably like, all right, this is a good client. This is a good client. This is a good client. And this is how I could probably approach them and sell them. And then how did you, like, were your first couple of clients like super random businesses, or did you actually pick like did you know what type of businesses did you want to work with and say like, all right, I just want to do e-commerce? Or was that over time when you realized like, all right, this is not a good type of business to start working with, and I'm just going to keep like my e-commerce ones?
Yeah. I started learning that after I was doing e-commerce. So with e-commerce, once I jumped into e-commerce, there was a bunch of different things. You understand? And I started working with products, with fashion apparel, with this, that. And then it was like, all right, each niche has a different audience, have a different type of message, like, you can't advertise everybody the same, even though they're all underneath the one umbrella. And then I started to try to like figuring out and started like deep diving into the e-commerce niche, because e-commerce was basically like the surface level of things. It was like, if I want to stick out or make a name for myself, I kind of have to find a niche within the niche.
Yeah.
And that's how I came across direct to consumer. And that was just me doing research, like different niches within e-commerce. And I came across an article on direct to consumer. And when I started reading, I was like, okay, like, these are just brands or fashion apparel product brands that want to just put their product in front of their consumer and not have it on the shelf, because they waste money. They're wasting money having things on shelf because nobody may not be buying it, and they still got to pay for that shelf space.
Yeah.
And I saw it as an opportunity, and that's where I was like, all right, this is it.
And just for people, because some people probably might not know, but like, what is DTC and how is that different from like e-commerce and a retailer, and how do you define DTC and what is it?
So direct to consumer is brands that want to put their product rightly in front of their ideal customers. Some of them do have stuff in stores, but they also want to capture that eye of the consumer. And I saw that was what they needed. A lot of times retail store, they don't have, if especially a smaller one, like, they don't have inventory to manage when you give them a lot of orders, And I learned, like, with brick and mortar business, it was a little bit, some of them can do it to a certain extent, but a lot of them can't afford it because they have a high over expense.
Yeah.
They got to pay for rent, they got to pay for the workers' insurance and X, Y, and Z. So like, marketing was just kind of a little bit out the picture. But direct to consumer was like definitely what you want to do if you have a brand that has a physical product. It's not something that's going to be drop ship, but they actually have that product in the house. It's their product, it's their brand, and you're just helping them just get in front of their customers. So like, native brands who are Casper mattress.
Yeah.
And that's a direct to consumer brand. Bombay socks is a direct to consumer brand.
And do you build the websites for them as well, like the shop? I would imagine you use Shopify. Like, do you or what tools do you use, and do you actually build the sites for them as well?
No, I'm just their ad performer.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you don't go in and offer like the full service of like managing ads and optimizing the website and doing all that as well.
If when I'm already running ads and I start seeing issues, I start recommending, okay, we need to do this. And they would, a lot of times they already had a developer. So I just, my recommendations, I give it to them and they give it to the developer to fix it.
And oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
And majority of them are Shopify. So, it's pretty simple.
And then have you come across clients where you realize when you first talk to them and you kind of audit their website and say like, all right, this website is just not going to work. How do you deal with those issues? Because we had it, like I had it a bunch of times, when either your product is bad or, the website it's so bad that, it's not going to sell. Do you take those, like, how do you deal with those clients? And how do you help them, or do you just say no and move on to the next one?
In the beginning, I took on a lot of those clients, especially during that time when the pandemic hit. Yeah. I took on I did actually offer my service for free, because I knew that a lot of business were starting to impact, and this was an opportunity for me to kind of like give back and help. Yeah. And I didn't charge a couple of them. I did free service, and there were some bad ones, and I helped them, like me giving some suggestions. They was able to improve their website, improve the product, and also we were able to I gave them the opportunity to see like, hey, like you just made $6,000-$7,000, for your first one. You never ran ads before. So it started to like open like, oh wow, like, you help, the feedback I got is like, yo, you really helped me during a time where I thought like this was it. Yeah. You understand? And me giving back was able to help them start to scale their business and get things in order.
Yeah, I like that approach that you took of like giving back and helping. I mean, retail was I think every retailer I know and friends who have stores or restaurants, like, it got rough. And I imagine like even more in New York, like
it's rough. It was rough.
Like, really close down. And then like, I guess moving to like e-commerce, with everything that Facebook with that's been happening with like banning accounts and blocking accounts and all of that. One is, what are like best practices you would recommend for people to prevent their account from being blocked? And especially we've had like issues with drop shippers, because drop shipping, I think like it's a category that Facebook knows that. I don't know if there's a lot of scams, but I think where like
they hate it with a passion, man. I feel like Facebook has a vengeance against them, because like a lot of them took during that time, a lot of them had like so much bad customer service issues. Products were taking forever. They were bad products, and a lot of times with some drop shippers don't know that Facebook actually sends surveys to these customers that buy from them and get their feedback. I had my account disabled, and that's when I took some of those certifications. I submitted that with my issue and they opened it right back up. But yeah, I like this. My recommendation, do not piss off Facebook. Just make sure that your images are correct. You're very meticulous with the copy, especially like any little word could throw it off. So really pay attention, cross your T's and dot your I's when you're writing your copy. And don't sound too spammy. No, don't sound too salesy. Yeah.
And then I know that this past week was huge for everyone. And what are some things that worked for you for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and how did you prepare for that week? I know that it might be too late and it's not till next year, but I think December is a big month as well. But what are the things you did that worked really well, preparing like your clients and your accounts for Black Friday and Cyber Monday?
I started warming up my already purchasers in the last 180 days. I started warming up a lot of those people who add to carts and started bringing that warming up that traffic, and just started shooting them towards the website. I did do a good amount of creatives with the frames and the discounts, and I did some videos which were pretty good.
And then when you talk about warming audiences up, is that launching engagement campaigns and reach campaigns or brand awareness, or what type of campaign objective have you seen that works best for warming those audiences?
So what I did personally, I ran some conversion campaigns with some reach camp. So with my purchasers, I ran reach campaigns with them to re-engage with them and to bring them back for the Black Friday discounts and stuff like that. And then everything else, I ran a more of a conversion campaign with them.
And then do you use the other thing, like how do you split your budget for your clients? That's another thing, like I get asked a lot, is how much budget do I need to start? And then, because clients don't know, right? Like people always be like, when you go talk to most business owners, the first question is like, how much money do you need? And it's like, well, what are your prices and what are your margins? And they don't know. People don't know.
Yeah.
People don't know. How do you deal with that issue of how much budget to use with clients when you're starting off, and how do you convince them of how much money to start investing, I guess?
So the first thing I always get how much it costs, of like it's gonna take like at least a G minimum. My goal is to start getting that retargeting running, and let them start seeing the revenue, something coming in off that retargeting. Then once they see that, they always it hypes them up, like, all right, cool, like let's I'll up it, we can go extra 500, or we go extra 2,000 and stuff like that. So I always try to show them some results so they can actually see that, all right, they're making some revenues in return, so they can up the budget. But I do have the ones that are like, this is it. I'm only spending 1,000 and I'm not going any further. But that's when I started learning what was my ideal clients and who I wanted to work with and don't work with and stuff. So that was the whole learning curve.
And then we'll go back to that question, because I'm interested in like, what's your ideal client now? Because I think there's different niches and types of clients. But did you invest more and prepare your clients to invest more during Black Friday and like past week, and also like Christmas? Like, do you push them to actually invest more?
I don't really push them as much. I let them know, like, I did let them know that it is going to be expensive. It is a holiday season time. A lot of people are marketing, so you definitely want to come with a good budget. I had clients that came out with some good budgets. The minimum was like 10 grand. So that was a good thing.
And then what were things that didn't work? That or mistakes that you made that you would change for next year, or even like now for December, that you're like, all right, these are changes that I need to make in the accounts, in the strategies, or whatever you're doing?
What didn't work?
Or everything was perfect.
Like, I'm like, what didn't work? Like, everything was definitely perfect.
What?
Like, everything was perfect. Like, I had this one store, like, Black Friday was their first launch. Like, Brandis launch opened on Black Friday, and we killed it 49,000. Like, wow. So, and it was like that builds up the anticipation towards Black Friday. Like, so everything really hit. I will definitely say that what would have been more better if some of my clients kind of move faster.
Okay.
On time. Like, I had an issue getting graphics on time. I had an issue getting certain things that I needed on time. So that was one of one of the issues I had. And the second issue I had was my ads was sitting in review for like hours.
Yeah.
And like when they did get approved and launched, it was like 2 a.m. in the morning, 3 a.m. and I'm like, oh my gosh.
And you don't because you mentioned that waiting for graphics, so you don't do the design of images or videos for them, like you request that from them and then they go somewhere else and...
They get it. So a lot of the brands I work with have graphic designers.
Okay.
Yeah. So they like, once again, I solely focus on running performance ads. Like that's what I do. Thank God I've worked with brands that made it simple for me. They'll send me ad copies. I will adjust the ad copy, or I will write ad copies for them. Graphics, I don't know how to do graphics. I'm gonna be honest with you.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
no,
So
and I think that's good that you like know what you're good at and you focus. Because I think when you go talk to clients, I bet you realize like they complain about, you know, like all the things that clients always complain. And sometimes it's easy to say like, oh, I'll do the ads and I'll also do design and I'll also do the website and I'll also do this and I'll also do this. And you end up like doing everything, but you don't never specialize in like
nothing.
like,
Yeah, and that's that term, the jacks of all trades. You know, like there's always that one guy that does everything, and his is just like he's just cutting and pasting. So,
and you end up with clients that you probably don't want to work with because you're doing everything. They're not paying you enough, and yeah. And I guess that brings me back to that first, like when what we started talking about is what's your ideal client now? Like, how do you what yeah, like how do you select now and filter clients better so that one, I think you know that you can get them results, because that's one thing that I've realized as well is if you pick a bad client who has a bad product, who has a bad service, who you're not going to get results. And it's not because your service sucks, it's not because you don't know your stuff, it's just you just picked the wrong client. How do you what's your ideal client now, and how do you filter them, I guess, or what type of like, I don't know if audit or like process or yeah.
all of the above. That's like on a Facebook certification test. Like all of the above. So, all right, when they schedule a call, yeah. When they schedule a call, they definitely have to go into a survey. They fill out their survey. Funny thing, I did have some people lie on the survey, and just and then when I hop on the phone with them, it was a complete story. But yeah, I give them a survey, and then once they fill out the survey, I have like their website information and stuff. Then I go into the website and start looking at the brand and start doing my research about it. And then when I always do my sales in two parts. The first part is when we hop on the call, I relate to them. You know, like I get to understand their business, understand them. I connect. I always tie one of my personal stories to their issues, and that's how I build that trust with them. And then like they'll open up and start to talk to me more and stuff like that. And I never try to sell them on that first call. I just try to get a feel of them, their goals, where they at right now, where their desires, and what's stopping them. And in that process, I'm relating to them, building that trust, filling them out. I give them some helpful advice. And then in that call, if they are a good fit for me, then we're going to move on to the second call. But if not, at least, I gave them the little audit that I did. Yeah. They can take that to improve their business.
And then what do you do on the second call? Like, how is your first call different from the second one?
So the second call now we're auditing your ad account. Okay. So we're on a Zoom. You already sent. If I give you if I approve you on the first one and we go on to the second one, I'm gonna send you information like, all right, this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna give me employee access to your ad account. We're gonna hop on this call and we're gonna review it together on Zoom. And then we will just go through the accounts like, all right, these are wrongs. This is we could fix this. We got to memorize this, and that's how I'm able to help them.
And then a question: do you send a proposal, or do you go over the proposal like of your services through Zoom as well?
I close after the call on Zoom. I'll tell them my price or whatever, and I send them my service agreement with the invoice.
But you give them you go over pricing on the phone. Like you don't wait for that second call, and then send them a proposal, but you talk about it like on the second call?
I never give them a price on the first one.
On the first call?
Yeah, I never give them a price on the first one. I want to make sure that the person I'm talking to is actually a good fit. I give you the price on the second one. And then
go ahead.
No, I finished. Go ahead.
Oh, no, and I think that's a very good tip. I think a lot of people tend to, customers always want pricing, right? And I think that you have to learn how to know at what point is a good, like when is a good point to give pricing, because sometimes you don't want to give pricing if you also don't know the work that you need to do.
That's why you got to do that audit so you can see the workload of what you're going to have to do. Because I made that mistake in the beginning, giving my pricing up front, and what the fuck is this? Like, oh no, what did I do? I was supposed to charge more for this, and now you're stuck at that, that cheap price. And I learned from that. And I was like, all right, I'm not doing this. I'm gonna audit them right there, and I'm gonna see the workload, and they can see the workload. Because the thing is, like, it's hard to justify your price if they don't understand what the hell you're talking about, and a lot of times they don't. So while you're looking at the account with them and you're talking to them they could actually physically see what you're seeing with your expertise of advice.
Yeah, I think that's a great advice, I would say, in understand what you're getting yourself into, because it's very easy to have a customer who's pushing you for pricing. You give them the pricing, and then they're like, "Oh, great, let's start," and you're like, "Crap!" Like,
I don't even know what you got. What is this? Like, I don't know what I'm getting myself into. Yeah.
So it's like the door box, and it's like, holy crap! Like, this is not good.
And I think we all make that because we run into the sale fast, and we're trying to close that sale, and then that's another turn away too as well. Like when you're so selly and pushy for the sell, the customer's like, I don't know, man. Like they kind of fall back, and it's like, I don't know, you too hungry, you too money hungry right now. So that also could push away a good client, because the smart ones, they kind of look out for stuff like that.
Yeah, they'll know if someone's just trying to get a quick sell, and they know
that deliver no results.
Yeah, and bring them no results. The other thing I wanted to ask you, and we were talking about it before we started the live call, is about the Facebook exams, because you've been thinking about, are you certified or not yet?
I'm certified in certain things. Ad policy is definitely one.
Which ones are you thinking of taking? Because I think this is a great discussion that we were having, and I think it's good that we have it live, because we have a lot of people asking similar questions that you were doing.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to take the marketing developer, and I'm going to take the media buying.
And then why developer and buyer?
Learning experience from the first, from when you just start and you start working with brands. When you start working with a lot of these e-commerce business, the pixels is never set up. That's the first issue that you start recognizing consistently across the board. You're happy if you find one that has everything in order all the way down to checkout. So, but yeah, like that's the major issue. And I feel like understanding that and being really good at that, I have more of an asset, and I can position myself a little bit more different.
Yeah. And I think that's going to be a great opportunity in the next, it's already a great opportunity, I would say. Like there's already enough, you probably see it already, and you go with businesses, and the first thing everyone checks now, it's Pixel Helper, and it's like, fuck,
Yeah.
Marketing.
Yeah. And yeah, like once you get into the field, like, and you start working with a brand, that's the first thing you have to understand and diagnose, because that's the most common issue you're going to run into in the beginning. That with product catalog pairing, it's always the same issues.
Yeah, product catalogs not being synced, and Facebook Pixel not properly installed, and you testing and going to checkout and being like, all right, no checkout event, no, add to cart event, no this, no that. I already know what I need to do. How are you preparing, I guess?
I bought your course.
Well, besides that,
like, because like all right, I already have experience running Facebook ads. I hopped on the Blueprint test myself, and I think I'm a good tester. You know, I did good in college, I did good in high school, but Facebook makes you feel like you're stupid. You taking those, the way they set up those questions is like, bro, like that's the right answer, but how is it wrong? You know, so I
Yeah.
I I I needed something that helped me better with that, definitely. And once I got your stuff, now it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, one thing I always tell people is like, I don't know who makes the test. Like, I don't know who sits down and writes the questions and who checks them either.
Mhm.
Because a lot of time it just doesn't make sense. Like,
No, and you're actually this is like, no, I do this every day. This is the answer. No, wrong.
I think today in the morning we were going one question that was like daily, and then you had to change it to lifetime budget because it wasn't spending money on weekends or something. And we're like, who thinks about this? Like, you would never switch a campaign from daily to lifetime budget. Like, no one does that. Like, no one.
Nobody, nobody. So that's some madness, man.
Yeah. And I guess like final one is, how can people get in touch with you? So if they're a retailer, a DTC brand, how can they get in touch with you? And yeah.
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram. It's Christopher Lewis _ 718. My website is www.chrisalewis.com, and you can reach out to me to that.
Awesome. And then any last tips of people trying to make that same transition you did of, working a 9 to 5 and saying like, fuck it, I'm gonna do this. What are final thoughts or tips you would give to someone who's thinking about doing that big switch and transition into starting a new life and career and freedom, I would say?
Fuck it, just go for it. Like, just do it. It's and this is coming from my experience. It's either you know what you want, and you're forced to go somewhere where you're just unhappy, and you know what you want, but yet it's like there's like a safety line that kind of hold you, because it's like that job security. I know that I'm guaranteed a paycheck. I know that I'm guaranteed benefits or whatever that you get. But it's like, what is more better, feeling the way you feel when you get up every day to go to a place you don't want to be, or just knowing that, all right, I got something, I can make it work, and just give it your shot. So just go for it, man. As you can see, like, I went door to door. Like, my driving hungry was way more than what a 9 to 5 could hold me on. So yeah.
No, I thanks for all the good advice. I really like that story of hustling, like, and just that makes a huge difference. Like, a lot of people don't take the time and just, go on Google. And I think, New York is easy because you just go walk around and there's hundreds of stores. But if not, just like, go into Google and you'll find like plenty of businesses and just go out. I like that. I like the survey thing. I think that's a really good trick.
It was like under the radar type flow.
Because I think that's a very good way to get people's pain points and like how to sell it then. Because if you understand what people are upset about and what people are pissed about previous agencies or people that manage them, you know what to say then. Like,
Yeah.
know how to say like, this is exactly what I'm not gonna do, and this is what I'm giving you. So I love that approach, because I think I haven't heard of that one before, of like surveys, and it's also a good excuse of people like, all right, we'll help you. Like, you're not here to sell me anything or anything. I like that.
Yeah. People start telling me about their personal family and their husband and their daughter. I was like, oh wow. But it's once again, like, you just talking to them, and like at the end of their business, like, they're still a person. And you like, my original goal and only intent in life, I feel, is just to help people out, and that's what I want to do, is just help people out. And it's like, yo, they're just a person. So, just, all right, I know this works. A lot of people need it. Let me see, how can I help you? And you know what? Throughout me doing all those surveys, I got my message in that. I knew how to put my pricing together because I kind of found what was too pricey and looking at what the market was charging, what was too cheesy. Yeah. So that kind of gave me that separation right there. And then I had a message where I was able to when somebody asked me, oh, what do you do? I help blah, 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 because I learned that from what everybody else told me. So I didn't have to figure it out.
Yeah, and I think that's a, you know, basic product development thing of like, you know, go talk to your customers and they'll tell you exactly what they need, and you'll find your messaging there instead of just sitting down and trying to figure out like this super creative, massive formulas online of like, just go out and talk to customers. Like,
yeah, because you're going to be stuck. You're literally going to be stuck figuring out this message and you're not going to move.
Yeah, and I think the whole key of like giving back as well is important. I think especially now, I think that's not just from like a human point of view, but I think it's also a good way to open doors and for people to be more approachable and being like, oh, this is great. And then when it comes down to actually paying you back, like they're more willing to pay for your services and just like use it as an excuse.
Yeah, I got a lot of opportunities off of those clients I helped in the beginning with free service. Like they connected me with some people that I wouldn't know that I would meet, you know, and those little things work. It's that connection, that relationship.
Yeah, and maybe not with them, but they might refer you a friend, a business owner, like someone else who they're probably clients of yours and they're probably one of your biggest clients.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like, yeah, like some clients I have, like, I wouldn't think I wouldn't be working with these people because I feel like they're a little bit too far at my reach. And it's like, I help this person who connect me with this person, you know, and there we go.
Yeah, yeah. And I think last thing is just saying, fuck it, do it, you know.
Just do it. Go for it. Just go for it.
Just go for it. So yeah. I applaud you for doing it because I don't think a lot of people make that jump, and I think a lot of people stay in their 9-to-5s and you know, don't take that leap of faith. So I applaud you for it, and I want to thank you again for taking the time and joining us today. And thanks for everyone that's watching it live. I'll leave your contact info on the post as well in the live session in case people want to talk to you or hire you or get in touch with you. I think that's great.
Appreciate it.
Hopefully hire you as well.
Yes.
But no, Chris, thanks for taking the time, and it was great talking to you.
Yeah, it was great talking to you too. Thank you, and thank you for the interview, man. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah. Peace. Take care.